Just adjusting something there, folks. But you know, there's a saying going around when it comes to television or any kind of franchise or medium that's ran for a long time. And that is, the show basically has run its course. Or the franchise, the medium, the comic, whatever, has run its course. It's done everything imaginable. It's done everything under the sun. And there are several examples even nowadays that make you wonder, when is it going to end? For example, with the recent Disney purchase or acquisition of Fox, which is supposed to be finalized by the start of next year, or around that time frame, if not earlier, or basically sometime around next year, early next year, at the most appropriate time, if not sometime in 2019. If not sooner, if things work out the way people would hope that they would. One thing is being asked. The future, and that's, what does the future lie? What is the future of the Simpsons? Now, Fox itself is trying. Now, Fox, under not the portion of Fox that was bought up by Disney, which is 21st Century Fox, but another portion of Fox, another division of Fox that is its own entity. I know sounds kind of convoluted. Is trying their best to retain The Simpsons and retain shows like American Dad and Family Guy and whatnot, and not allow them to be part of the full Disney acquisition, because I think the fear that Fox has, that the Fox right now that's still its own thing, that has some control of The Simpsons, has some control with The Simpsons, some kind of leeway on The Simpsons, or leverage with The Simpsons. They probably realize that if Disney fully gets all those assets, including, like I said, their animation domination shows, that shows like The Simpsons, that has been going on for almost 30 years now, Disney's going to cut the cord. They know that. I mean, even if The Simpsons pretty much is still a merchandise, it's still I don't know how to say this, a rating success, a financial success still, that merchandise still gets moved. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, you have some Simpsons items out there that even at my store were selling, like little party things with the Duff logo on it because of the Duff beer and stuff. Like Duff cup holders or Duff shot glasses, whatever. So basically, to assume that Disney would cut The Simpsons, so for Fox to, what I'm trying to say is, for Fox to not wanting to let that golden goose go, it's perfectly understandable. But when you take a look at Disney, you're looking at a company that understands the success of certain properties, but also understands when a property has run its course and they don't want to oversaturate it. I know some people might say that's kind of hypocritical, seeing as though there are some Disney-owned properties, not directly, but owned period, that's still going strong. In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. The one thing you'll notice about a lot of Disney properties is they don't last too long. The longest they will last, if they're successful ratings-wise and merchandise-wise, the longest they'll remain on television is about maybe 4 to 6 seasons. A good example of keeping it simple, stupid, and not oversaturating yourself is Kim Possible. Kim Possible ran for about 3 seasons. Initially, 3 seasons was supposed to be it. Fans wanted more, and we got the 4th season, which culminated in the graduation. The same could be said for a non-Disney property like Friendship is Magic. Words going around that season 9 could be the last season, but yet that's still up in the air because there could be the potential of a 10th season that's giving fans a decade's worth of pony. And if that happens, that happens. If it doesn't, then hey, Hasbro and DHX are going to basically not oversaturate as much of the market as they have to make sure it doesn't, overstay its welcome. You know what I'm saying? Even though financially it's still a major success for them. But the point is, when it comes to Disney possibly acquiring The Simpsons and this portion of Fox that's going to remain as its own entity, mostly like with Fox Sports and Fox TV and all that, with that portion remaining as its own entity, trying to retain The Simpsons, trying to retain their animation domination shows, it's understandable, again, why they would want to do it, because they realize Disney is going to probably, in their eyes, cut the cord on The Simpsons. They're going to say, look, Simpsons ran its course. Okay. Basically, they're looking at the fact that those at Disney are going to reevaluate the entire catalog, and they're going to be like, okay, Simpsons has been on for this long. I think it's run its course. A lot of these ideas are just repeats of previous ideas and stories. Let's just end it here. And that's probably what's going to happen. That's probably essentially what's going to happen. The same can be said for American Dad, Family Guy, and all that. They're probably going to say, okay, they did what they could with this. Let's just end it. Let's just be done with it and go from there. Not saying that they still wouldn't rely maybe on the merchandise power of a Family Guy, of an American Dad, of a Simpsons or anything like that. They wouldn't. It's not saying they wouldn't still rely on that, but it's more along the lines of they know when to pull the plug on a successful franchise and not keep it going until basically the generation that grew up with it is no longer around. But you're probably wondering, okay, Brian, you're about 7.5 minutes in. What does this have to do with what the title of the video is? Well, what it has to do with the subject of the video is, if Disney is able to acquire The Simpsons and all the animation domination shows and do exactly what a lot of fans, a lot of insiders, and even those at Fox that are trying to retain The Simpsons and the animation domination block probably know they're going to do, then that probably is a lesson that Nickelodeon, Viacom, and Paramount, with all due respect, should be thinking of. Hear me out. News has been going around that we're going to get reboots of a lot of shows eventually. A lot of classic 90s Nickelodeon shows, from Rugrats, so on. Perhaps Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold made a recent return, and the potential he could be coming back as a reboot down the line. Wild Thornberrys, you name it. These are just shows that have been around that have been part of Nickelodeon's history for a long time. Even the game shows like Double Dare and all that have been part of Nickelodeon's history. But a lot of these shows that I'm talking about that started in the 90s and ended in the 90s or ended in the early to mid 2000s ran a decent course for as long as they have. They ran the course, they did what they had to do with them, and they just let them live on, in reruns. That's it. Or through DVD, Blu-ray box sets. However, the same cannot be said for that little square sponge known as Spongebob. Now, don't get me wrong. Spongebob has had his moments. The show has had some decent moments. It's spawned 2 freaking theatrical films that have done successfully. Second one, not as much as the first one. And it took, nearly over a decade for a sequel to even be spawned. It's had a couple of made-for-television movies. It's had a Christmas special on network television. But yet, despite all that, Nickelodeon has yet to pull the plug on this little guy. Now, there have been several times where it looks like they were going to do it, But apparently the merchandise, the money spoke, if you will, and they decided to keep going. And as they decided to keep going, fans started to lose interest. It wasn't until the original creator behind SpongeBob, or one of the original creators, came back to help with the second movie and help a little bit with the show, did people start to regain interest, because it was basically feeling more like the SpongeBob they knew. But even with that said, SpongeBob debuted in 1999. 1999. You know what I was doing in 1999? I was turning 20 years old. I had come out here to visit for my 20th birthday with my dad. Then I went back to Kansas. You know what I was doing at that time? Still living with him. And it was a year after I graduated. Because I was part of the class of 1998. You know what I was doing when SpongeBob was getting ready to celebrate his 1-year anniversary? I was spending my first year, or at least the first 7 months, on my own in my own apartment in Lawrence, Kansas. You know what my family was doing out here? Huh? You know what my family was doing out here? My 23-year-old nephew was 3. I mean, not 3, was 4 years old. My niece, whose birthday is going to be within 9 days, and she's going to be 26, you know what she was doing? You know what she was? She was 7 years old. My nephew, who's entering high school for the first time, wasn't even born yet. It'd be a couple years before he was born. It'd be almost a decade or 8 years before my second youngest nephew was born, and over a decade almost before my great nephew was born. That's how long SpongeBob has been going. So much has happened in the course of this show's run that it's still hard to believe it's still hard to believe that new episodes are still being produced even to this day. And there's consideration of a third movie in the works. And look, I'm not going to blame Nickelodeon, like I said with Fox earlier, for wanting to milk this cash cow, this golden goose, for all it's worth. But enough is enough. You did all you can with SpongeBob. You've gotten 2 movies, potentially a third one, out of it. You've had, 1 or 2, 3, a multitude of made-for-television specials out of it, movies, if you will, out of it. You got yourself on network television with the claymation stop-motion Christmas special you did based around him. You've done everything possible. Heck, you even hinted at him and Sandy being an item, even though it was done for a play and it was talked about in a flashback. The point is, you have done everything possible with this guy. And all it is, in fact, I was watching one video on here. I think it was Saberspark. I don't know if it was Saberspark or somebody. But basically, a lot of people are getting sick and tired of SpongeBob. They're all in agreement that you have done what you could with this character, all you could with this character. Now the time has come to move on. You need to bring this show to an end. Stop making it into the Simpsons of Nickelodeon, because sooner or later, just like with the Simpsons, people are going to get sick and tired of it. They're going to get sick and tired of it. They're going to basically be like, enough's enough. No more. No more. Okay? They don't want any more. They don't want any more SpongeBob. That's pretty much going to be the thing. They're not going to want any more SpongeBob. Enough is enough for them. I mean, this is something that The Simpsons has gone through. True, they had a little bit of a revival, but then they dropped back down because people are like, well, that was great. They had that little jump back in popularity. Now they've gone back down because it's basically the same thing. The story elements in The Simpsons and Story Plus were repeats of what was done in earlier seasons. Same with SpongeBob. And again, I'm not blaming Nickelodeon, like I'm saying. I'm not blaming Fox for wanting to keep milking this successful cash cow for all it has. But take a look at the shows I mentioned that was still around and either in maybe the prime, basically second season or third season of existence, not even, basically a lot of these shows that I talked about were, a season or two away from the final episodes, and yet SpongeBob had just started up and he's continually going. And there's a lot of shows that have come and gone during SpongeBob's existence. Heck, why do you think people joke around that Nickelodeon might as well change the name of the networks to the SpongeBob networks? Why don't they, why do you think people joke about that? Because mainly almost every hour on the dot, there is a SpongeBob episode. The point is, we get it, Nickelodeon. Everybody gets it. You want to milk this cash cow, but sooner or later, people are going to say enough's enough. And heck, they're already saying that. They're already saying that. Heck, why do you think people are kind of, as I mentioned earlier, kind of like curious about MLP, Friendship is Magic, going into its last season? Why do you think some people are actually happy about that? It's because even though it's sad to hear that a great show like Friendship is Magic is coming to an end, they're happy that it's not going to get oversaturated. Even if it goes to a 10th season, they're happy it's not going to get oversaturated. But that's what you've already done with SpongeBob. But here's the difference between the two shows. MLP is tolerable because it's got characters that people can understand. It's got story elements and stuff that they could relate to. They could talk to people on all different levels and ages. SpongeBob is basically ha 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 all the time. Might as well do an episode where he's just laughing. And you know what happens? That gets annoying after a while. Look, if you want to keep SpongeBob going, Nickelodeon, that's fine. You got a block. What's it called? Oh, that's why it's called Nick Jr. Why don't you tone down SpongeBob to the point that if you want to keep it going, reboot SpongeBob into a show for young kids, for the preschoolers. Get it? If you want to keep it going, reboot it, softly reboot it and retcon it to a show that's for the young viewers. Throw out a press release saying what's going to happen, so that way people are not annoyed by this sponge anymore, or not getting sick and tired of it. Again, a lot of us respect the fact that you want to keep making money off this, but sooner or later, enough's going to be enough. Heck, there are going to be retailers, if not already, that are getting sick and tired of this character, that they don't want to carry any kind of merchandise on him, whether it be toys, videos, DVD or Blu-ray box sets, or even clothing. They don't want to carry anything on this guy. They don't want to carry They don't want to carry as much merchandise anymore on this guy because he's run his course, Nickelodeon. He has run his course, and you need to wake up and realize that. So, what I'm trying to say is this: what Fox fears that Disney's probably going to do, Nickelodeon, and probably will do, Nickelodeon, with all due respect, I think anybody watching this will agree, you need to start doing with SpongeBob. You need to start thinking, you need to start planning to pull the plug on this character, but if you want to keep him going, you want to keep him a success, because you feel you can bring in money, reboot it, or retcon it to aim at that Nick Jr. audience of preschoolers. It makes more sense to go in that direction than basically sour on what potentially is a good thing for you. So, that's all I'm going to say, folks. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with my thoughts on this situation? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. I'm out.